Everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to do not exactly a final goodbye necessarily, but just kind of do a little bit of a retrospective and look at Modern Warfare over the last year. Because for those of you guys that do not know, Modern Warfare is now officially 1 year old, and this is actually, funnily enough, the very first time for Call of Duty that we're actually going to be going over a year before Call of Duty comes out again, because Cold War comes out in November, and the last couple have been in October. So this is going to be a year and 1 month, and basically with Modern Warfare, this game was either very hit or very miss for a lot of people, and it's very funny, because considering the fact of the way that Modern Warfare technically is, you would think somebody like me, if you based off all my videos from years past, you think I wouldn't like this game. Because it's campy, it's slow, it's boring, etc, etc, etc. You could apply the same logic. A prime example of this, like the last Call of Duty that was similar to this, was probably COD Ghosts. Modern Warfare plays a lot like COD Ghosts. Probably even a little bit worse than COD Ghosts, just because the way that was back in COD Ghost is that there was certain little things that wasn't in the game, and it would like allow you to be able to rush compared to Modern Warfare. And with Modern Warfare, there's certain new features, or even just old features for that matter, that are in this game that make it so easy to camp that it's not exactly impossible to rush, but it's so difficult it's not worth your time unless that's just truly what you want to do. So, like I'm saying, it's very hit or miss with this game. And there's people that played Warzone pretty much the whole entire time. There's people that played the multiplayer. There's people that played just the campaign. There's even sometimes that weird group that played just like something like Spec Ops. But yeah, basically with Modern Warfare, I kind of want to do like I said, not exactly a final goodbye, but just a little retrospective to look at what the game did right and what the game did not do right, and give some advice to Infinity Ward for their next game, because especially considering the fact is that now that we're back on the 2-year cycle, and that Infinity Ward is right after Treyarch again like they used to be, which means they do in turn have less time, I want to give you advice, Infinity Ward. You actually managed to gain back my trust. And the thing is that I can't say that very lightly, because I will say this, I do not tolerate BS. And I know that your hand was basically dealt wrong from the very beginning. I even know this along with Treyarch, so please do not pull the Treyarch thing on me saying like, oh, you used to say the same thing about Treyarch. Well, right now the thing is that Treyarch's yet to prove me wrong, so I'm letting them be able to prove me wrong. I'm open to the idea, but it's gotta be on them. They have to do it. But with Infinity Ward, I'm giving you not only kudos, but I will tell you the stuff that you must fix going into your next game. So let's start off with the good, then the bad, and then the ugly. Traditionally, I would do the worst part first, but I want to give Modern Warfare praise because I feel like it's too easy to get onto the negative part and then people just tune out of the video. So let's talk about what this game did right. Immediately from launch, this game had that classic Call of Duty feel back. That good old, classic, modern, just new, realistic, crisp, amazing looking Call of Duty game that we know and love. I'm not saying it played well, I'm not saying that in the slightest, but I'm saying is that it gave that Modern Warfare old school Call of Duty feel again. Kind of what they were trying to aim with Call of Duty World War II, like for the World War II games, but the modern games do the best in the Call of Duty series compared to future and past. And with the Modern Warfare series in particular, this is one of the best series other than Black Ops, so that nostalgia was back. Having Price and Ghost and all those guys return, it just brought that feeling back, and kind of having it almost be like a reboot did actually bring the idea of a new, innovative idea. And I don't usually traditionally like reboots or remakes, but I did like what they did here instead of just making it up in sequel, kind of like what they did with Black Ops 4, because Black Ops 4 was a prequel, and it just felt like a bad Black Ops 3. This definitely felt like its own game, but still within the Modern Warfare universe. It didn't feel like Modern Warfare 3.0 or Modern Warfare 4, but really poorly done. This just felt like its own game that happened to be in the Modern Warfare universe. It's not exactly tied to the original series, which is good, but it had that Modern Warfare feel to the point where it felt good. There was no weird miscellaneous things. I mean, sure, we had the crazy anime guns, and then eventually we had things like the weed camos, but that's just been Infinity Ward for as long as I can remember. Infinity Ward does weird stuff all the time. In fact, there's nothing to say that other than Infinity Ward, that's just their shtick. That's what they do. They've had things such as, like, for example, the weed camo back in COD Ghosts. So it's been there. It's always existed. And I'm glad that they were willing to have fun with that, because I like it when a game is not uberly strict about the cosmetics / the vibe. I understand certain people want to have that promise, if that's what they're truly looking for. If they get promised a real game because they enjoy that stuff, and then the game later adds on anime guns and weed camos, I understand that. But that's never really been an issue for me, because as much as I love realism, I don't want the game to handicap itself due to trying to meet said realism. I just want the game to be fun, and I enjoy bright, punchy colors. I enjoy fun, outlandish stuff every now and again. I enjoy that funny, jokey crap. I enjoyed the anime guns and the weed camos and stuff like that. I bought some of those. And that's what makes the game fun, not necessarily having to worry about being super realistic, because we all have to agree at some point that fantasy is sometimes better than reality. Definitely don't live in fantasy all the time, but a perfect balance is definitely needed. And I do respect the fact that Infinity Ward did add in every now and again some fun, cool stuff, especially at the end when the game started to get stale, because it makes the game fun. Like, for example, recently, I've really enjoyed the Halloween update with the fact that they brought in the Jigsaw and then the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, or the Halloween skins. I just literally played Modern Warfare tonight, and I saw that there was a Grim Reaper ghost skin, and it looked super, super cool and very well done. And it's very it brings back that Call of Duty just casualness again, at least in the essence. It's not exactly in the gameplay quite yet, but it definitely brings back that casual nature, like the fact that it doesn't have to be so uptight about an identity, that it just does whatever it wants to do for fun. I enjoy that about the COD series. That was probably one of the things I enjoyed throughout this whole entire game. Now let's talk about something a little bit more specific, which is going to be probably the multiplayer and the Warzone, just solely because everyone's going to want to hear that, but I did have to address the game in general as a whole. I definitely did enjoy the vibe of Modern Warfare, and the campaign was definitely good, one of the better campaigns in a while. I mean, that was a really great campaign. Not my favorite, but definitely up there, and probably top 10, I'd say. Definitely up there out of all the Call of Duties. But yeah, now let's talk about the multiplayer, because multiplayer and Warzone, these are going to be the big two. Multiplayer was very, very iffy. Like I said, if you're a person like me that traditionally likes fast-paced action, hardcore rushing gameplay, this game would not traditionally be for you. I'm surprised even to myself that I end up liking this game, but I look at it and I'm thinking to myself, being like, oh, I can see why I did still like this game, and I'll explain that now. The reason why, even though I have my opinion about, saying fast-paced games are better, and I enjoy the rushing aspect of games, the reason why I still enjoyed this game regardless of that was because the game brought not only back, but introduced so many new things that are what I truly enjoy. I know it's the hit or miss for everybody, I can't vouch for everyone, but it truly made me happy. Things such as forced game chat, and the fact that everyone was talking in this game, like back in the 360 days. The fact that you could go into search and destroy and just mess around and talk with a casual dude or woman, who cares, that's just drinking a beer, playing with their buddy. I saw split screeners for the first time in my life again this year. Split screeners, dude. People that played on the same Xbox, playing on the same computer screen. That was ridiculous to see me. The casualness of split screen, that shit is irreplaceable. I never thought I would see something like that again, and it was so fun to be able to see that. I enjoyed the fact that it blew up on YouTube, and the fact that everyone was willing to give it a chance. People like that Wildcat and his friends were making Modern Warfare funny moments like they did, felt like the Black Ops 2 days. I enjoyed that, truly, I honestly did, and that was fun. It was as much as the game was also tryhardy for me, I was more willing to also screw around and just meme. I haven't felt like I can do that in a Call of Duty in a while, and even despite the skill-based matchmaking, I still felt more inclined to be a memester, because the fact that the game encouraged it, such as the anime guns and the weed camos and stuff like that. The multiplayer, it was fun for me because I enjoyed what it was for what it was. It was a new change of pace. The new engine that Infinity Ward had was absolutely crisp. I love how smooth this game is. Because the one thing with Treyarch is that their games are clunky and they don't feel exactly right. But Infinity Ward, it felt smooth, and it felt like I was shooting a real gun. It felt like I was in a real life part of the world. It felt like I was definitely immersed, which I haven't felt with a video game in a while. Like I actually felt like I was in the game at certain points, and there would be instances where I would get scared the shit out of me because someone would jump scare me around the corner by just shooting me really loud or something like that. Like the gunshots were so loud in this game that I actually felt like I was under fire and getting PTSD Vietnam flashbacks. It was that immersive. It was ridiculous. I don't condone the ear, but I definitely condone the fact that they ended up giving me the ability to feel immersed in the game again. I did enjoy that. But the thing is, though, is that even though I did enjoy the fact that the players base was back, I also did enjoy the little things. I also enjoyed the fact that there was the gunsmith, and that the gunsmith made you have to pick between certain attachments instead of just having the god set up. You actually had trade-offs and certain challenges that you could give yourself, such as putting a sniper rifle scope on everything, or being able to make a really cool gun variant from like an AR and turning into an SMG, or vice versa, or making your gun super slow and strong, or super fast and weak. Your gun was actually be able to, you could almost make new guns out of the old guns by putting a certain attachment combo on it, and that made the game fun, and that made the game enjoyable. Another thing I really enjoyed was the fact that the kill streaks were amazing for the first time in years. Like Black Ops 4, World War II, Infinite Warfare, these games didn't really have a kill streak that I could say with solid confidence that really stood out there. But there were so many great ones in this game. You had the classics like the UAV and the counter UAV, but then you also had things like the precision airstrike. You had the Wheelson. You had the chopper gunner. You brought back some of the classics like the VTOL warship, which is the Harrier from Modern Warfare 2. We haven't seen that in years. Or the AC-130 from Modern Warfare 2 and 3. That was fun. And the Juggernaut kill streak, that final kill streak, that was one of the funnest, and I think it's one of the best kill streaks in Call of Duty history. The Modern Warfare 2019 Juggernaut is ridiculous, and there's been so many modes recently where they've been adding in where you can just grab it for free and you don't necessarily need to earn as a kill streak, and you would be surprised how fun that kill streak can be. And I love the fact that you can play death metal while rocking around in the suit. That's just, I love that subtle touch. It's just great. It's just, mwah. I love that, Infinity Ward. Thank you. I just love how the kill streaks actually felt like they were doing something to contribute to the match. Because back in the old days of COD, if you got a kill streak, it was over. If you end up getting, like for example, back in Modern Warfare 2, if you got a Harrier, you were guaranteed to get a chopper gunner. If you got a chopper gunner, you were guaranteed to get a nuke. Once you got your streak, it was done, no matter what. In this game, I felt like I could bring my team back from a loss. In this game, I felt like I can actually be able to carry my teammates. In this game, I felt like I could actually just pub stomp again with the kill streaks, especially if you want something like Shipment. I was casually getting 100 plus kills easily, almost every single game. Great kill streaks. Amazing. I liked the guns. There was no problem with gun balance other than a few odd exceptions. The problem was with the exceptions is that when they were OP, they were very OP. Obviously, you had the infinite range 725 at one point, and then you had the M4A1 just naturally being used and abused. And then you had things weird like the Growl. But other than that, there was no outlandish sniper. The shotguns were iffy after the 725, yes, but there wasn't something that was the equivalent of the 725. I mean, I've been basically used to the Brecci at this point, so the AA-12 and the R90 don't surprise me anymore. I'm not shocked about those. I will admit there was some broken guns, but I don't necessarily know if they were glitches or fully intended or not, like the Val and the R700. The R700 basically being a hit scan sniper again, and the Val just being able to insta wall bang. I don't know if those were glitches or intentional. I still don't know, but I'm just gonna chop those up to just a fluke, because the thing is, as much as it would be sad that it would be true that they did that for the sake of money, which wouldn't surprise me, at least they got fixed. Because back in the day, like in Modern Warfare 2, you were lucky to get a patch once every 3 or 4 months. So, I'm not trying to necessarily have low standards, but I'm just saying I'm just thankful that they're fixed. I'm glad that right now the current state of the guns is that there's nothing really at Brecci level. I'm really glad about that. Now we gotta get into a little bit more of like Warzone, stuff like that. I'm gonna go probably the good with all of these. With Warzone, I'm very glad that they brought in a BR that was good. Warzone, as much as it's broken right now, when it first came out, and still the general core idea of it, when it does go right, is a great game mode. When Warzone goes right, not when it goes wrong, but when it specifically goes right, it's a absolute fun and blast of a time. When Warzone came out, the fact that it came out in March, 6 months after the game already released at the halfway point of Modern Warfare, was a great business decision. Because everyone was playing the multiplayer, and when they finally wanted a new change of pace, we got Warzone. Warzone, and also, by the way, I hope the future parts of Call of Duty, by the way, was the first free-to-play thing for Call of Duty ever. Warzone was absolutely free for everyone to download across the Xbox, the PlayStation, and the PC, with crossplay and other features as well that would allow you to be able to play with your buddies. That would make it so that way you can enjoy. You had cross progression, so you didn't have to worry about losing your guns. You had cross XP, so you'd be able to still rank up your guy and everything in general. You cross play, you could play with your buddies no matter what device you're on. These couple few features right here, these like last three, were huge for this game. For the first time in years, it felt like we were not getting split up. And also, one more is the free DLC. Free DLC, crossplay, and the fact that we are able to end up having all of our stuff carry over across everything, that made it so that way no matter where you play this game, is that you had the ability to have fun and be able to excel at whatever you did, no problem. Having everything and whatever you wanted available to you at all times was fantastic for this game. And I enjoyed that about Warzone, especially the fact that it was free, because it allowed me to be able to play with my buddies for the first time in forever. During the quarantine, when I was bored out of my mind, like Warzone came out the perfect time. It came out right during quarantine. I remember distinctly being able to hop on Warzone and just be able to play with my brother and my best friends when we were all stuck in our houses and we couldn't leave them, and we were stuck inside, and be able to play something free, fun, engaging, and just fresh with my buddies on a video game. Because a lot of my friends, other than the guys in the Discord, don't play a lot of video games nearly as much as I do. I would say the only exception is the guys. Like, you guys know them, Jake, Murray, Joseph, all those guys. Like, those are my gaming friends. But I'm saying it's like my more real-life friends, or my friends that I've known before I had Xbox Live. Those guys, not a lot of them play as much games as I do. I'm definitely the gamer of the group. The closest that I know that would probably play a game other than I is my friend Noah, and even he doesn't play nearly as many games as I do. Not even freaking close. And the fact that they played games with me during the quarantine, especially one I enjoyed, that was fun. I enjoyed that truly. I really, really did. And Warzone, having the Easter eggs and the events that they try to do and the immersion and just the core premise of it was so much better, especially considering the fact that the last BR that we had and the only other one before that was Blackout, and considering the fact that now that Warzone's going to be coming back in Cold War and not like Blackout again or Blackout 2, shows how much better it was than Blackout. I could be nitpicking the difference between Warzone and Blackout, but we'd be here all day. But I much preferred Warzone over Blackout, and it's so glad that it's not only continuing to be into the next game, but it also will be added upon. That will be great for Cold War. Now we gotta end up getting into the bad side of things, because obviously we have to end up getting into that. So let's talk about multiplayer and also the Warzone, because there's not exactly a bad with the campaign. Multiplayer, it really struggled on the maps. I will admit, the maps in Modern Warfare are probably, if not one of these sets of maps that are the worst in the franchise. Azir Cave, Oklov Peak, some of the most cramped, wide, but also like horrendous maps at the same time. Like, they were definitely immersive, don't get me wrong, but they were just cluttered and obnoxiously campy, and they had so many weird nitpicky spots. Even COD Ghost had less weird spots. Like COD Ghost, if you go back and look in that game, that was kind of, I guess, the beginning of Infinity Ward experimenting with camping spots, because in COD Ghost you would see like back rooms that didn't lead anywhere and they were just randomly there for, I guess, camping. But people took advantage of that style in this game. There would be people that would deliberately go into such odd angles that were extremely unique and circumstantial that the only way that you were going to kill them is if you ended up getting a lucky kill. There's some spots, there's certain nitpicky spots in something like Azir Cave or Oklov, especially the Ground War maps. That's one of the reasons why I don't play Ground War anymore, is because there's just some spots that are horrendous to play against. It's like King of the Hill, and you can't catch a break. Like, remember that one famous Modern Warfare clip that came back out at launch of the guy trying to cross the street? Yeah, we all know that clip, because that's the embodiment of this game. When it works, this game, you can rush. If you have your dead silence going and you're playing something more like shootouts or shipment rather, you know, you can end up rushing and you can do well. But the thing is that this game at its whole is campy. It teaches you to hide in corners, adapt. Yeah, I still laugh at that one. But this game plays a lot like Call of Duty Rainbow Six Siege, and I know sometimes that's going to piss off people that play Rainbow, but same idea. Leaning, not moving, crouch walking everywhere so you're really insanely quiet. It's the same premise, it really is. Being uberly cautious. When, for me, not only does that get annoying really fast because I have a low tolerance for standing still and just, I get bored. I really do get bored and impatient, and I just want to be able to do fun and exciting things. I rather would be able to run around and get the flashier stuff, especially considering the fact that I'm a YouTuber, than sitting in a corner and waiting to try to get a possible neutral, like maybe somewhat high KD game. Like, if the fact that the highest I can get in a domination game is 30 kills, we have an issue here. I should be breaking at least 50 if I want to, not being stuck at like almost a certain limit due to the way that the maps play. Like, the map flow is garbage. Like, the only good maps are Shipment and Shoot House, and it's really bad that I have to say that Shipment is one of the best maps in this game, because we know the spawns on that map are absolutely horrendous. Shipment shouldn't be able to function that way and be considered a good map, but the problem is that people would rather end up being in a spawn trap simulator to avoid getting bored. And so that's where we're in our predicament, is that's why when Shipment and Shoothouse are gone, the game almost feels unplayable multiplayer-wise. There has been some other maps, such as Rust, or, Backlot, or even Condor Hideout. Those maps are okay, but a lot of people would rather just play Shipment, Rust, and Shoot House. And they're still not nearly as perfect as they could be. The closest I would say to perfect is probably Shoot House. I wish every other map of this game performed like Shoot House, and I can honestly see Shoot House being a remake someday. But I really, really wish that even things like the remakes, I wish that they would play better. But the way that the game is that the remake doesn't matter if the way that the game is designed is to camp. So the maps played horrible, and I didn't like that a lot. The next thing that I also need to get into is just the core aspect of like just the camping in general. Like, the maps definitely didn't help, but the camping playstyle in general, like the fact that camping was so welcomed in this game. Like, I understand Infinity was trying to welcome in the newbier players, but the camping was too much. The camping really, really was too much. I didn't like how that you had certain nitpicky things. It wasn't even necessarily the map's fault. It was just the way that the game was played, such as shadows, or blur, or certain textual glitches not working, or even weird things like where characters were invisible at certain points. And I'm not even talking about hack invisible, I'm just talking about the game just didn't work, or latency, or just stuff like that. The game not rendering in properly, making it where camping at it wasn't at all-time must. The faster, meltier TTK. What else? Also the fact that, like I said, the maps. Just also in general the way that the game plays. Not only is down to mechanics, but it's also just the way that we were taught by Infinity Ward. Like, Infinity Ward specifically told you to camp, or be defensive, or tactical, air quotes, when they really shouldn't have done that. They should have done a boot camp style game mode, but I've mentioned this so many times it'd be absolutely repetitive at this point, so I'm just going to only brush over it briefly. But basically, what I'm saying is that I don't mind giving a different flavor or a tactical gameplay. Black Ops 4 tried to be more tactical, but you could still rush in Black Ops 4, which I respected. Modern Warfare, it's really, really hard to rush, and it's almost not worth your time. It really honestly isn't. Like, sometimes I'll think to myself, I have to actually think to myself, if there's not a 24/7 playlist for either Shoot House or Shipment, I have to actually consider if I'm even going to play the game at all that day. That's just sad. The fact that I have to wait for a 24/7 playlist of only like 2 maps, and they're really, really just spawn trap simulators. One mostly, the other one being half that way. That's just kind of sad. That really, really is. And it just really doesn't feel well to think that way. It really isn't. So, Modern Warfare, it has its moments like that, and I could get into the very nitpicky stuff. I can talk about certain equipment, I can talk about specific glitches here and there, I can talk about everything, but I'm just basically generalizing the rule of thumb is that I didn't like how that the game forced you to play like a pussy. It really encouraged you to play like a pussy. I condone the idea of tactical, but only within reason. If you're just simply hiding in a corner, you're waiting, and you just shoot me in a dark alley, you're a pussy. Let's be honest, you're a pussy. But yeah, let's move on to Warzone. So with Warzone, the problem was with Warzone, right? The bad was, once again, the camping, but I kind of just rammed into that with mostly the multiplayer, so we'll just kind of brush over that for now. But let's talk about more about Warzone-specific issues. I didn't like how that with Warzone, that the way that they treated it, other than having certain things such as, like I said, the maps, like, because like some of the parts of the Warzone locations were just copy and pastable maps. But I could mention the thing with the maps and the elevation. I could also mention the things that have been previously talked about, like camping and stuff. But let's talk about the more nitpicky, not quite bad, like with like the hackers, which we're gonna get into in a moment. But let's talk about more just like the stuff in between. Definitely bad. I didn't like how that certain gameplay mechanics rewarded you for not necessarily camping, but rather just not exactly playing the game in a favorable instance for your teammates. So like let's think about it this way. Something such as the loadout drops. I like how that the loadout drops allowed you to be able to end up having almost essentially the perfect class. But the problem was that there were certain things about, specifically the loadout drop mostly, but other things as well, that made you play selfish. Like, if you're going to endorse the idea of cooperative team play in your game, you need to stick to that. You can't just say one thing and mean the other. The thing it was with the loadout drops, right, is that you were trying to play a game of bait. You were trying to either use your teammate to see if there was a enemy nearby by having them go first, or you were trying to end up debating, like, almost like it was a political debate thing about who was going to have what money for a certain loadout, or who was going to end up running certain classes, or having a certain perk on. And there was instances like such as like Ghost, like, because since perks are involved and you have like things like the UAV in Warzone, if you have certain instances where, like, let's say you're needing to run Ghost, but even one guy, if you're playing non-solo, that is not running Ghost, there's no point in being with him, decentivizing you from playing like a team. So, like, if I'm playing squads, right, and I'm running Ghost and my teammate is running Ghost and my other teammate's running Ghost, but my one teammate is not, if he's around us at all, he essentially will give us away, and there's no point in running Ghost then if he's not the one guy. Because if we're going to be traveling in a pack, like, one guy can put two and two together that if there's a squad, you know, they're probably going to all end up either having Ghost or not having Ghost. So when he sees one blinking light, it's very rare that he's a solo, because most people rage quit once their whole team dies. It's very rare, but he's probably thinking, like, okay, where the hell is his teammates? And so therefore then I'm put in danger because my one teammate did not run a certain crutch perk. And there was things such as, like, the sniper rifles, like, being the most dominant gun in the game at a point. I know there's also been certain things like the Growl, but my main thing was the snipers, because yes, even though there's things like Sniper Glint, the map is so humongous and so bright with the sun, there's no way you can tell there's Sniper Glint 24/7. So the problem was that there was the sniper meta, then there was the Growl meta, and now we're even in a shotgun meta right now with Warzone, where a lot of people were using like the AA-12 and the R9O. There was even a thing with the Origin at one point, and the fact that the guns, you know, are kind of like mandatory, it makes you have to play selfish. Because in Warzone, you primarily should be almost having one guy be the long-range guy, one guy being the middle guy, the other guy being the up-close guy. You know, you should be able to use different guns, but the fact that you all either have to run one thing or the other, or you're essentially handicapping your team, I didn't like those mechanics. And I also didn't exactly like how that there was certain instances with the buyables, such as the self-revive or the UAV basically feeling like crutch. Like, you kind of felt like you were, if you didn't have essentially everything, that you had nothing. Like, getting into the instance with Warzone, like, let's say, for example, you die and you have your respawn, you get the Gulag. I like the Gulag, I really do. That is one of the things I will give Infinity Ward credit yet again. But, like, the thing is that after a while, it got to the point where after your gulag, right? Because I would figure that you're only going to end up using your gulag as if you end up managing to get to very far in the match. It's very rare that a lot of people will almost use their gulag. If people die off the bat and lose their gulag, they usually rage quit. But if you and your teammates are doing well and you get to the end, you happen to, like, let's say, die right before the gulag gets locked. The problem is that once you beat the gulag, if all of you are dead, or you're trying to help, like, buy your teammates back because you're, like, the only one that survived it, it's very, very hard. Even in a sense where you all come back, it's just very hard to get back in that flow. Because when I'm floating above the map again, there's so many scenarios where someone could be hiding somewhere that no matter where I land, unless it's in buttfuck nowhere, I don't feel safe. I can land in the most bizarre spot, like a single building that has no name and has like probably like one chest, but just enough to get me started, and there will still be a random dude hiding in that specific building. Unless I'm open field, like unless I'm in an open field with nothing whatsoever, I feel like there's always someone at the spot I'm gonna land, and because they have their loadout drop and they're camping, they will instantly pulverize me. And I feel like I just spawned in for nothing again, just to take it. That doesn't feel fun. I do not like that about Warzone at all, and that's one of my biggest gripes with it. I do not like it when I can't feel like I can defend myself, because it's just like, what's the point? So, that's another thing. Now let's get into the absolute ugly. This is across Warzone and multiplayer, but mostly Warzone just because of the free-to-play aspect. But this is the hacking. Modern Warfare has suffered more hackers recently than I would like to believe any of the old Call of Duties combined. Because with the old Call of Duties, right, we all know the idea about COD 4, World at War, even now all the way up to Black Ops 2, preferably the 360 CODs. Like, all those games after a while are just hacked to crap and they're unplayable essentially. But Modern Warfare is the newest Call of Duty. It's the game that's still being sold on shelves. It's the game that's the #1 game, supposedly, for Call of Duty right now. But yet, at the same time, you have like a 50-50 shot to play against someone that's blatantly cheating. And I'm not talking about like soft hacks or even the fun hacks. I'm just talking about like God mode, invisibility, aimbot, wall hacks, insta-kill you type of stuff. That the fact that like when you look at a kill cam, you have to be like, okay, what now? And that shouldn't be the case. It's not like, oh, let me see how I die because I want to get good. It's just like, let me see how this hacker killed me this time. Because every death is sus now. And I feel like that I am not ever going to be able to improve until the game ends up getting clean. I mean really clean, like anti-cheat being in the game and staying in the game. Not the ban waves. You know, I'm not talking about threatening lawsuits, Activision. I'm specifically talking about make your game playable and put in a freaking anti-cheat. Do that, because you're also going to continue Warzone into your next game, and if you don't fix it, it's still going to be the same exact hacked mess. You're selling a broken product. Selling Warzone right now, even though yes, it's free, but the thing is, you're selling the microtransactions for it. You know, because like, you're basically advertising a broken product or selling a broken product alongside the microtransactions. Because think about it this way, the way that is with Warzone and the hackers is like the equivalent of like, let's say that you were going to be playing an arcade game. Like, let's say that you went to a old school arcade and you popped in a quarter in the machine and you had a 50-50 chance of the guy that was playing next to you on those two-player controlled machines that he would be cheating somehow. And you would definitely be not only pissed at that guy, but you would be pissed at the building, the arcade itself, the company not fixing it. Like, why in the world would you not fix it other than just either out of sheer laziness or just the fact that you just can't fix it? That's the one thing I'm more worried about than rather that they don't want to fix it, is that if they can't. Because we can nag and we can persuade Activision over the long haul. We've done that with things such as supply drops, and if we can remove supply drops, anything's possible at this point. But the thing is that if they can't do it, which I don't know why they wouldn't, but they can't, that's the scariest thing of all, because then there's going to be literally no point eventually to play this game. Because once people get bored, and the casual people and the YouTubers don't want to play anymore, and it's just the hackers, this game is useless. And that's the one thing I'm scared about. And this goes across Warzone and the multiplayer. Multiplayer is not free of hackers either. Just because multiplayer costs money doesn't mean that there's not people doing it. I've seen hackers in multiplayer as much as I've seen in Warzone. Not nearly to the severity. Like, they're a lot more far and few in between, but there definitely is the same quantity of them. They're just spread out. So like instead of having them like all in a game in a row, like game, it's like every few weeks or even a month. But they're still there, and it's very frustrating to feel like that I literally cannot do anything and that I'm just supposed to just deal with it. And that's not fun. I didn't pay $60 to essentially get a cyberbullied. You know, like the worst part about it is too is the feel like that. Like I said, that Activision does not want to fix it. That's the worst, because it's one thing with the old games and they don't make the money anymore. It's on last gen hardware. I get that now, as much as I don't agree with it. But the current game, that's just stupid. That you gotta fix that, Activision. Infinity Ward, please, for the love of God, not only your next game, but just for Warzone and just Modern Warfare as a whole, please fix the hacker situation. It's just annoying. It really is. Alright, now let's talk about the other thing that's probably... These are probably the big two, and this is skill-based matchmaking. Skill-based matchmaking in Modern Warfare, currently, because Cold War is worse. I played the beta and the alpha, and they're worse. Yes, there was skill-based matchmaking in those. That's don't ask. But yeah, so Modern Warfare skill-based matchmaking, as of currently, until Cold War comes out, is the worst skill-based matchmaking we have ever seen. It feels like it's only getting worse. I think they actually upped the skill-based matchmaking back in Season 4, because Modern Warfare Seasons 1 through 3 felt still a lot easier, even though there was skill-based matchmaking, than 4 onward. 4 onward, the last 3 seasons, I felt significantly sweatier, because I feel like the skill-based matchmaking got a lot more stricter. Because the things with the skill-based matchmaking is that you're essentially going to be always 24/7 playing it against an exact clone of you. And the thing is that is very predictable and very annoying. I will admit that I am proud of myself for how well I'm doing, and I don't mind a good fight. I enjoy the idea of being able to get better, but if it's all the time, there's no room for improvement. There's gotta be balance. You gotta, like as Bruce Lee says, you must be like water. And the thing is that when you're only playing against absolute freaking nerds, and I'm saying that in a mean way this time, like freaks. Like, if you play against the people that don't shower, the fact that these people probably are, like, almost sickly ill-looking because they look so ugly and just fucking grotesque because they just sit there with, like, a catheter or a diaper and they inject G Fuel into their anal cavity, and they're just sitting here trying to end up making it being a TTV or a YT YouTube guy, and the fact that they just smell like, they smell like roasted ass with a side of Cheetos inside of, like, a sewage drain. Those people, like, that is, like, the worst player to go against, especially 24/7, because there's no variety. It's just like, okay, my variety is either I'm gonna get jump shot or I'm gonna get drop shotted, or I'm gonna be told that someone's fucking my mom, or I'm gonna be told that someone is going to be fucking me. It's just like, okay, like, that's not really much of a variety. Let's go over to Warzone. Oh, no, pretty much the exact same thing. I kill someone, their death reaction is the N-word, or the death reaction is the N-word with a hard R. It's just like, okay, that's not cool, but that's apparently custom. I mean, look at the Modern Warfare name situation. I mean, like, especially during the George Floyd thing, that was especially bad, like, because there was an influx of those names. But yeah, like, I don't like how my variety is toxic, no-life virgins, and that's just the story of it. I'll admit I've been a tryhard. I still consider myself a tryhard, but the thing is, though, is that I still have a life. I am very proud of myself, the fact that I'm still able to say that as much as I'm sweaty and dorky at video games, that I'm doing well on YouTube. I've done well with relationships in a intimate sense, in a friendship sense, in a family sense. I am glad that I've had the ability to end up having a functional work life, school life, just life in general. I'm glad I have a fucking life. But yeah, like, I swear to God, sometimes these people that I play against literally have no life, and it makes the game not feel fun. Like, the fact that I feel like I'm always in competition leaves no room for variety/fun. Because fun and competition can exist, but it's a very thin line you gotta walk. I really do not like the skill-based matchmaking, and I feel like skill-based matchmaking, other than hacking, is the new boogeyman other than supply drops. Supply drops, skill-based matchmaking, and hackers are the three big things of the last couple years that have been horrible for video games, and they must go away. They really got to. We got one, we gotta get the other two. It's like a saga, it's like a series. But yeah, so that's those big two. And I probably would say the last one, the big ugly thing, is just Activision, and in general as a whole. Activision is really the true boogeyman, because these are the people that in Black Ops 4 tried to sell us a reticle for $1. I mean, you freaking kidding me? You try to sell me a dot for a dollar? Really? Really? I mean, they didn't do that in this game, thank God, but Activision, their marketing decisions, like such as even like little nitpicky stuff, like something that you guys may have forgot, like for example, survival mode being only on the PlayStation for a whole entire year, and Xbox and PC just now got it. I mean, I don't care anymore at this point, but it was still a precedent that we don't want to have set. I don't like the fact that Activision still rules the Call of Duty idea or domain, and I wish that honestly they could break off, but Activision wouldn't let that happen. So this is what I'm hoping for Infinity Ward, is that I hope that you will not do what Treyarch did and just bent the knee. You know, I don't want you to bend the knee. You actually managed to, not only during COD Ghosts and Infinite Warfare, have one of the most reasonable microtransaction systems compared to your brother Sledgehammer and Treyarch, especially Treyarch. It seems like they have the worst microtransaction handling. But you not only have my respect in that sense, but you were trying to make the game as enjoyable as you could for what you were dealt. I understand that this is the case for Treyarch and Sledgehammer, but Infinity Ward did the best. And I give them very big kudos. I'm just saying don't lose that. So anyways, guys, this is my Modern Warfare review basically as a whole. And this video has almost been an hour long, but I truly hope you ended up enjoying. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know what you thought about Modern Warfare over the last year and whether or not you enjoyed this game. And just give it on a ranking of 1 to 10. 1 being it's garbage and 10 being it's the best COD ever. I really want to hear what you guys think. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed another YouTube video from the most unique YouTuber you are ever going to see. Peace out, guys.